let's start talking about the kids who aren't ever taught.
Exactly. Welcome to Jersey Match.
15 years ago, Champion Athletes was established to help athletes perform better through better nutrition. And we do that by creating an individualized nutrition plan for each person that we work with to maximize their body composition and make them feel their best, both in training and in competition. So Champion Athletes offers individualized nutrition programs for each client that we work with. We start off by having them fill out a questionnaire about their eating habits, what they like, what they don't like, and how their family eats, as well as their goals. We go over the questionnaires, we get to know each other, and then we do a body composition analysis where we measure their muscle mass, their body fat, and then we build a customized meal plan just for them. And our meal plans look like menus, so they're easy to follow. They include a grocery list, and they're based around that family's eating habits. And then we support all of our clients through texting. So in between our appointments, which are about every 4 to 6 weeks, our clients text us their weight, let us know how they're feeling, how their energy is, and we make sure they're progressing towards their goals in between each appointment. If you're looking to bring your performance to the next level, you should look at your nutrition, and Champion Athletes would be happy to help you do that.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of New Jersey Match Chat Legend Series. To my right, we have former Paul Six standout and rider All-American Adam Derengowski. Adam, thanks for coming in, man.
Thanks for having me, Doug.
Appreciate you. I know you're a man who loves this sport.
Yes.
And I know you've been around it for a long time.
Yeah.
This Legend Series is important to us because we firmly believe in making names relevant again, or keeping them relevant.
Right.
And it's a historical piece, little resource for information,
Yep.
For those that are curious.
Sure.
Now, Adam, for those who don't know, you went to Paul VI High School. You graduated in 1986, correct?
That's it.
Okay. Now, the story of you starts off very interesting early on because you didn't start wrestling until
Freshman year.
Yep.
At
At Paul VI.
Paul VI.
Okay, like before we even get into wrestling, where did you live while attending Paul VI?
I grew up in Barrington, New Jersey.
Which high school would have been?
Haddon Heights.
Haddon Heights.
Yeah.
So what made you go to Paul VI?
My sister was at Paul VI, and I was at St. Francis de Sales grade school in Barrington, and 90% of the kids were going to Paul VI.
Gotcha. So that's just from a religious standpoint.
Yeah, just from friends, more about friends.
Nothing to do with wrestling.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing to do with wrestling.
No.
Okay. So I'm assuming you were a small freshman.
Yeah, about 100 pounds.
100 pounds. And back then the weight class was 100.
Yeah, there was 98.
90, which ended up being 100.
101 or
Yeah, okay.
102. Yeah.
So let it begin. How and why did you start wrestling?
Well, I shared a picture with you before this talk, and Gary Papa, who was the wrestling coach at Paul VI,
Legendary.
legendary coach, he used to draw want it posters, like the Old West want it posters. Said, want it, do you weigh 105 pounds and eat nails for breakfast? If so, we want you on the Paul VI wrestling team. And I'm like, I'm with my other friend, Ron Francisconi. I'm like, we're little guys. We eat nails for breakfast. We're tough. We're going out for wrestling. So that was like a draw. I also had a friend whose brother was on the team, and Kurt Trauger and George Trauger. And that was an easy connection there to say, yeah, I'm going to go out for wrestling. And it was something to, it was all about making friends. And I thought that was a great way to do it. I'm going to go for this sport, and I weigh that, and I'm tough.
And that's where it begins.
That's where it begins.
So you were JV your freshman year?
My freshman year, I was on the freshman team.
Freshman team. See, let me interrupt you. Today's generation, they don't understand. There used to be full varsities, full JVs, and in a lot of cases, full freshman teams.
Yeah, we had 50 or 60 kids on our team at Paul VI.
That was commonplace for most schools.
Yeah.
Yes, for most schools.
And never won a match. I was 0-8, got pinned 8 times on the freshman team. But I made a lot of friends, started to get a little stronger, got addicted to working out and fitness.
Right.
And I remember the summer after the freshman year, people were going to open mats at different schools. And I remember going to Eastern High School and seeing like Mike Lamb, Joe Mercury, and I'm going, wow, we're in the right place to get good if these guys are rolling here. And went where my friends were going for competitions, wrestled in some key tournaments in the summer, spring and summer. And then sophomore year, I was on junior varsity. Didn't even make varsity.
You got promoted though.
I was the second best guy right in the weight class, and won 21 matches, lost one. The one I lost to was Mike Waters from Camden, who was a Regents.
Yes, I know the name.
The next year, And but he was on JV too that year.
Camden used to have really
Oh my
good
God,
teams.
great lightweights,
Really good teams.
And I also won 4 matches on varsity that
Okay.
year, which was pretty cool. Got to wear the Polo 6 robe, got to go out with a towel around my neck and, feel like you're a part of
Big
something.
deal. Yeah.
Totally addicting. And, between that summer, I got stronger and, went to a lot of competitions again and made the varsity team as a junior at Polo 6. And I went 15-5.
Still
Actually,
at 101?
still at 10, I was 108.
108 at this
108,
time.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was just that freshman year. So 108 sophomore year and 108 junior year. And I won my first tournament. And it was the Haddon Township Christmas tournament. And I beat a kid from Triton, Sean McClurnan. I'm dropping names.
Yeah,
hopefully,
fine, drop 'em.
Yeah, let's get them to watch it, right?
Yeah.
And in the finals, I beat this guy, Wayne Mayuri, who was like the general manager of Huffman Exterminators, nowadays. But so he was, really good wrestler, and he had beaten me in a dual meet probably 2 weeks before that. So I won this competition. I thought, wow. And I beat Doug Vernon from Haddon Township. That'll come up later. So now I won this first competition, and probably beat who I should have beat, lost who I should have lost to. Got in the districts, and I was the 3rd seed, and I lost first round in the districts. My
So you lost
junior year.
back then when districts was 2 nights.
Yeah.
Quarterfinals on Friday.
Friday night.
Right. So you lost first round of districts as a junior.
As a junior.
All right, let's hit stop. Let's hit pause.
Yeah.
So from your freshman year to your junior year, did you just get good because you just matured and figured it out, or did you go to camps? Did you do any extra wrestling in the off season?
Yeah.
Did Papa take you under his wing? Explain.
Yeah, so we had a really good lightweight, Pat Ahern, so Mike's older brother,
Yeah.
who was number 1 seed in the state, his senior year, so my junior year. So at the end of that year where I lost first round of districts, and we lost the team district title because of me. Because if I just scored 2 points, if I just won that first match,
Yeah.
which was Doug Vernon, who I'd beaten in the Christmas tournament, 16 to 8 or 10 or something like that. And so if I just won that, we would have won the team competition. So, I was going one or two ways. I was either going to say, wrestling stinks. I'm not doing wrestling. I'm going to go have fun and, hang out with my friends. But I kind of went the other way drastically. And from that, right after the regions, I started running and training and going to camps or going to competitions, because the AAU started pretty much right after the season. And Eastern Nationals I did, and I must have wrestled above 40 matches from after that season to the beginning of next
Back
season.
then, that's a lot.
It's a lot because
Back then.
it wasn't off season. You couldn't just
Correct.
you had to find the open mat places.
Travel.
Yep.
Yes.
And I beat some good guys like Andy Jones, who was a region
RV.
runner up the RV. I beat him in the summer. Beat Jimmy Lumley from Canada Catholic, who was a great friend of mine. He'll love the fact that his name's been dropped here, and he had taken second in the districts. And ironically, the guy that won the districts when I was a junior year was Jeff Barr in the weight class I was in. And Jeff Barr lived 5 houses from me in Barrington.
That's funny.
Went to Haddon Heights. Yeah.
funny.
2-time district champion.
You were the
so
trader,
pretty
not
good.
him, though.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, he was. Yeah, that's a homegrown. He was one of the reasons I thought, wow, wrestling's pretty cool, because he was getting a lot of attention for it in a lightweight. But yeah, so I think it was just a lot of competition. Putting matches on, getting a year, maybe 2 years of experience that I didn't have. And again, I had great coaches that I could fall back on. Gary Papa, Mike Ahern's older brother, Brian Ahern.
He had a bunch of brothers.
Yeah, well, he is, like 12 siblings or whatever it is, some crazy. But yeah, Brian Ahern was our coach, and he would always work with us, and Pete Ferrara and Tom Betts. Great staff.
But what made, again, we hit the pause button, but still something had to occur. You were just a one sport guy. You only wrestled, that's it. So, but still, you started as a freshman. Yeah, okay.
I didn't want to be a one sport guy. All the sports outgrew me. I was a good soccer player. I played baseball in Barrington, and I played football when, 65, 85 pounds, all of a sudden the 85 pound group, and we had like Gino G. Morello on the football team, Mike McAleer, Mike McAleer, because he lived in our town as well. And so there was a lot of sports that I liked. It's just the sport jumped out because I weighed 120
I get
pounds,
it. It's sometimes, depending on how you look at life, being small can be a blessing.
Yeah.
It can be.
Yep.
Look, you're not a big guy. I'm not a big guy, but in the world of wrestling, I don't think people who are outside the world of wrestling understand the value of being small. Yeah. It opens up doors for kids to compete in college, to compete in high school, to be a star, where it's your size versus that size.
Exactly.
It's the only sport in high school that you can
absolutely.
set up that way.
Yep.
Okay, so During your stint at Paul Six, I'm assuming you seemed like a very articulate and intelligent guy. You were a good student. Everything was going fine.
My older sister, Lynn, was a great student. She was top 3 in her class. She was number 1 in her class in college, in engineering, which is crazy, right? And so I could never compete with that.
Okay.
So when I first tasted a little success in wrestling, I thought, I'm going there. And I was an okay student.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did Papa hold you guys, and I should have asked Ahern, but I forgot, did Papa hold you guys to a standard that was acceptable in your eyes? Could you match the standard he set for you guys?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was,
Did he
it
force
was
it on
achievable. Never forced you on. He brainwashed you into wanting
Gotcha.
to do things, wanting to do extra, wanting to be, a role model, wanting to do good. He profiled it and modeled it every day.
And his only role at Paul Six was the head wrestling
He was
coach.
the head wrestling coach. He was an entrepreneur, owned his own business, a vending company.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So he just came in and coached and came out. Okay.
He would tell you, like, he was full-time wrestling coach.
Yeah.
He had a vending company that paid his bills, but
Right,
he was a wrestling
I
coach.
understand. Okay. So now this is where it gets interesting. So you had this literally like a Rocky story.
Well, it was Vision Quest came out my junior year.
85. Wait, yeah, 85. Yeah.
The Vision Quest came out.
It's ironic.
Totally
kind of
ironic.
like what you want on,
Exactly.
right? So
I globbed onto it.
what people don't understand is that you're now a junior.
Yep.
You lost in the first round of district, and let's face it, that's humiliating.
By the way, and the guy that I'll hold that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to jump the story.
I can say this now in hindsight.
Yeah.
That's a humiliating loss as a high
I
school.
wanted to crawl under the mat and just leave.
Right. I
yeah.
think any wrestler can understand that. But now the Vision Quest starts.
Yep.
So you're a district quarterfinal loser.
Yep.
You have 12 months to get your shit together.
Yep.
Now hit play.
Okay, so we start the season. I trained really hard with Pat Aaron all summer. Anybody I could find.
Yeah.
I was training with it. Plus lifting, plus running. I would literally run as far as I could, as hard as I could, and then turn around. And then I'd have to get home. So it was.
How
it was
big
crazy.
were you? How size-wise?
I was keeping my weight down, but it was probably between 115 and 120 at the time.
Gotcha.
And so strong, but I do sprints on my streets, and people think, what's this crazy kid doing? And so we go into the season. I was ready. Like, there was no surprises. I was ready for the start of the season. And I even thought about, hey, should I cut all the way down to the smallest weight?
Right.
And that just wasn't, like, if I was Joe Malcurie, I probably could cut that weight because I cut legendary weight. But we started off, and one of the early competitions was the Phillipsburg Christmas tournament. And in the semifinals, I beat a kid from Brick Memorial who was really good. And I remember my coach, I tech fought him. And I remember my coach going, you just beat that guy. That's a great win. And right across another mat was Dave Boncher, who was a 2-time state champ at 101 and 108. Phillipsburg. And so he won it when I was on JV. He won it again when I lost in the district's, first round. And here he is winning the semifinals. I'm watching him win it as I just finished my match. So I got major butterflies. I've got to go wrestle Dave Boncher now in the finals of this Phillipsburg Christmas tournament in their house, in the pit in Phillipsburg. And so, spotlight on the mat. The final start, we also had a great teammate, Mike Waltz, who was 3-time region champ.
Big guy.
Big guy, 188 pounds. And so he won, and he got in the finals as well. And that was always the case. I was just trailing along, and I was probably 4th or 5th, 6th best kid on the team at the time. Just obviously in achievements, because Richie Venuto was a region runner-up. Jim Gilch was, in the
Doug
regions.
Arena, right?
Doug Arena was, he arrives that year probably.
With you?
Yeah, with us. Yeah, he plays in districts and gets to regions, all that. But he didn't get the states that year. Because that was the first time in his states was when he won it too, which is a cool story.
Yeah.
So anyway, going into the competition, Phillipsburg Christmas tournament finals, got to go against a 2-time state champion, and immediately I get under his head and drive, and it's all on film. Like, you can see it online actually. And he steps over, get in the cradle, slaps on another cradle, boom, pins me. Right, the place goes crazy within the first period.
Okay.
Minute 12 seconds. Right, pretty quick. We were in flurries. And I felt like I was like wrestling with him, and then he gets up and the place is going crazy because it's a 2-time state champ from Phillipsburg, and so I wanted to crawl under the mat there, just like the districts. But I remember my coach saying, "You got the finals of the Phillipsburg Christmas tournament." Nobody else did except for Mike. Mike won it. Mike Waltz won it, and the rest of the team was all really good. They placed 3rd or 4th. So the rest of the year, I won, avenged some losses. Mark Smith from Pennsville, who was really good. The kid from Camden.
Waters?
No, not Waters. Not Barry Downey, because Barry Downey I beat my junior year. I'll think of him in a second. But John Morton.
John Morton.
Yeah, John Morton, really good lightweight. And so I beat him in duel. And in the Highland duel, I was wrestling a guy, Rob Sentman, who was one loss, and we both had one loss going in this big 1-2 duel, packed at Pole to 6. Again, this is all 9 to watch. It is an exciting match.
They were all full of Highland kids, huh, Joe?
Oh, man. Yeah. Everybody that couldn't make the Highland team was on our team. There were a few people like that. Yeah. But so I beat the Sentman kid, by technical fall, and like that was, the announcer on the video that you can see is like, this is not expected, and the place goes crazy. And I remember thinking, oh my God! And I walked, it was almost like an eye with it. I remember walking right into the locker room, going, just get out of that atmosphere and like recover for a second. And and then we got into the end of the year, and our team won the Group A team tournament, and going to districts #1 seed. Tech fall and pinned my way through the districts. Actually, I won 18-6 in the finals of districts. John Morton. And then the regions, Tech falled in the finals, pinned, and then Tech falled.
Joe Pauline from Delran.
He was the 115, so he won that weight class above. I beat Mike Quinn from Cherokee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in the region finals.
Oh, okay. I thought you wrestled. I swore you wrestled.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wrestled with Joe, but
right.
great. He went to college in New Jersey.
And you smashed Quinn, if I remember.
Mike Quinn in the finals. Tech followed him 17-2.
Yeah.
And so then we're sitting around practicing for states. I got Richie Venuto, region champ, Jim Gilch, region champ, Mike Waltz, region champ, Ron Francisconi, region runner-up, and we're all looking at the paper. I'm like, hey, Boncher's on the other side of the bracket. And they're like, you're never going to see Boncher, dude. Come on, get out of town.
Even after winning regions.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, you're never going to see Boncher. And it was like a little bit of just everybody busting each other.
Yeah.
So, here we go. We go into the competition. In the first round, I wrestled a guy named Wayne Marshall.
Yep, Pittman.
Wayne Marshall Pittman, very, good wrestler. And I beat him. I'm like, wow. I remember him beating Mark Kelly from Eastern the year before. I can't believe, I kind of beat him pretty good. Sorry, Wayne. And then in the next round, I wrestled Bob LaFranco, who was third in the state the year before. And he had lost to Dave Boncher in the region finals, 1-0.
Interesting.
And then after 2 periods, I was winning 13-1. I ended up winning 15-7. That's the quarterfinals. So back then, you win in the quarterfinals, you place.
Yes.
Nobody else places, just 4 places. So now I'm in the semifinals, and I wrestle this guy, George Chu, who's a state champion.
Cumberland.
The following year. Plus, he's really good. Totally, he expected to beat me for sure. So did Pete, his coach, Pete DiBiase. I got a takedown, high crotch right at the beginning. He stepped over long to the right at the end of the match. He's winning by 1 point with 5 seconds left, and we go out of bounds. And I'm good on top. So I go and instead of just him basing out, he tries to get away with 5 seconds left. Tight waist, tilted him. Without the second count happened, it was a 1 count then, but I got, second swipe here right at the end of the match. And I remember just getting up and going, thank God. And he was so angry. And I'm thinking, I'm in the state finals. And then Mike Waltz loses in the semis. And I'm almost embarrassed that I'm in the finals and Mike's not, right? So get through all that. And we're now doing the introductions for the state finals. And it's, hey, Dave Boncher, you 3-time district champ, you several-time region champ, 2-time state champion, whatever amount of wins, and Adam Derengowski. And it's like, I walk out to crickets, And I remember Gary Papa saying, we're going to do this different this time. You're going to get him tired. You're the best in shape. Because Gary brainwashed us all. Working out, we worked out every morning before school. So we ran every morning. And we just believed we were better. As we're running around at the end of the mat practices, he would tell you, you guys train harder, you're technically better. And I think his 3 pillars were, you were in the best shape, we do things differently, you're great on top, and you've got the winner's edge. And he just was the winner's edge with just whatever he wanted it to be.
Whatever it was, and just balled in. Yeah.
Yeah. So he had these things, really, and all of us believing it. And so finals, John Doran from Pennsville won the first match, and it ended early against Steve Rivera, who's obviously son Steve was state champ eventually too. And I remember Pap saying, "Get ready," because it was ending. And Jadwin Gymnasium was totally packed. It's like, I don't know, 9,000-10,000 then. They had to move out of there because, and Princeton gets really packed. And so the state finals start. and we get in a scramble at the beginning. I get a takedown. We go out of bounds, and the place erupts, and I felt it. I mean, I felt the noise, and I just broke him down on both sides. He got a stalling point. I'm up 3-0.
Did you feel him start to break?
No,
Never.
No,
Okay.
no, no, no.
All right.
Not anywhere near yet. And then in the third period, so I had the first takedown, got him called for stalling, 3-0. Second period, he chose down. I rode him again, and however it happened, it was 4-0. He got a takedown at the end towards the end of the third period. So it's 4-2. We go out of bounds 10 seconds, just like the semifinals. He gets a turn in the last 10 seconds. And I remember walking to the corner and Gary Pop going, okay, we're going to get him in the finals. He's drying off my hair. He's telling me, here's what, and all of a sudden he goes, hey, look at him. And I turn around and look at him, and he's in the chair and he's breathing heavy on the other side because you got a break for overtime. You got a minute. You got a minute to break, and it was 3 1-minute periods for the overtime. He goes, you got him. You got him. And I said, all right, I got him. And I just pulled, and like for the first period, almost got a takedown. Second period, I got a turn, and then another turn with power half and a tilt, different times. So it's 5-0 now. And third period, he's like, he's a pinner. He takes top and blocked the. I got out. It was 6-0, and I just dove at his legs. I was gonna just try to hang on. He, spun behind me, and it's only like 15 seconds left, and it's now 6-2, and I'm just bracing out, and I could feel the ground shake as it was ending, as the seconds were going. I'm like, oh my God. And I went to the corner, and my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, and my sister.
Really? High school
and
sweethearts?
yeah,
That's awesome.
And my teammates and all. I got in the corner, I got swamped, and it was crazy, because I'm like, I am a nobody, right, on this scene. Nobody knows who I am, and so we have to take the picture afterwards, team picture. So my sister and my girlfriend wait for me. Everybody else went. Paul Six went to the team party down in South Jersey, so we're leaving Princeton, and we walk out the door after the team picture, and I got Paul Six jacket on. I got the bracket sheet under my arm, and we're walking down. When 9,000 people come into, Princeton, it gets, just jam packed.
Yes.
You can't go anywhere. And so we're walking down the street, and all of a sudden somebody rolls down their window, because it's 1986. Somebody rolls down their window and said, "Hey, are you Adam Derengowski?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "Can you sign this for me?"
Are you serious?
So yeah, so I walk over and I sign it. We go to the next car. Hey, can you come out here? And I want my son to say, can you sign this? And so for the next 40 minutes, walking this half mile down to a parking lot, we're in my sister's car. And then my sister and my wife and I, we all got in the car and we went, what just happened? Like, what just happened? And so that was like, wow, people think this is important.
Yeah. In this state, for sure.
And that's really where, like, the idea of, like, being hardworking, being persistent and dedicated was, like, pushed into me. I was like, that's it. If you do that, something good's going to happen. It doesn't necessarily mean a gold medal, but in this case it was.
So let me guess, you did not get OW, right?
I did not get OW. Jason Suter got OW.
Yeah, because you got to, but that's...
He's, state finalist.
I understand that, but this is my whole thing. Even to this day, it's called I don't know, a pet peeve of mine, but that award sometimes is a joke.
Yeah, Jason deserved it. I mean, he was awesome.
Not saying Jason didn't deserve it. You sound like a very humble man. Based on what your story is, I think you deserve it. But who cares? Who cares? So what, if you can remember you were 18 or 17?
18.
Whatever. 18 years
1968. So 86, I was 17 when I was.
17 years old. When did it really, when did it hit you? There's no way it hit you then.
So that was, state finals were on a Saturday back then.
Correct.
So the next day I went to McMichael's gym on the Pike with Pat Aaron to lift. And John Vojing, who was this great, sports writer at the Courier Post and Paulsboro supporter and all that, he called the house and they said, he went to the gym to lift. He said, what? Yeah, so I was like, I got to get big now. I can't stay 110 pounds or whatever it was. And so I'm there, and when I pulled up to McMichael's gym, it said, "Congratulations, Adam Derengowski, New Jersey State Champion."
That's cool.
I'm like, what? And then all the kids from Paul VI that would take the buses in would see that in the morning.
That's very cool.
All right. And then probably a week later, I got a call. My mom said, "It's Dave Boncher, the guy who wrestled in the state finals."
You sure?
I was
Was your house?
Yeah, it was my house. And I was like, "Hey, how you doing, Dave?" He's like, "Yeah, did you call me?" I'm like, I didn't call you." He goes,
You get prank calls?
I think somebody from Phillipsburg called and said, "Hey, call me back. I'm Adam Derengowski."
Oh, that's funny.
So he was already devastated by the loss, going for his third title, and I'm sure he didn't. The dude had to obviously fight all the way to the very end. And, I didn't feel anything. I never felt anything break. I think he always thought he was going to pin me. But anyway, here we are on this conversation. And I was just like, dude, I'm pretty sure I used the word honor, but it was an honor to wrestle you. And I wasn't trying to belittle the fact that, I wanted to beat him and I wanted to get him tired and all that stuff. But I was just telling my son the story. Like, I don't think he really knew it, my son Jake. And, that guy's name always comes up. It's been 40 years or whatever it is, since then.
Well, let's hit the pause button again, because this is based on my own personal memory. I'm not saying what I'm saying is a factual, is a historical fact.
Yep.
But you were the first guy that I saw that really utilized the tilt.
Yeah.
I know the tilts were around, but you were hitting varieties, transitioning, just different grips, cross twists, hooks. You were just a tilting machine. Now, who brought that into your arsenal? Who taught you these?
Brian Aaron.
Really?
Pat and Mike's older brother, who was our coach. The summer before, he said, "What do you do on top?" I wasn't even the tilt. I did tilts as a junior, but he just wanted me to, because Jim Lumley, who was the Camden Catholic guy, we always talk about it. He took me down to my back in a dual meet my junior year. I got out, took me down to my double again, and then in the third period, I just tilted him. We ended up tying because you had ties back then. So I did tilt, but I remember Brian in that summer before my senior year, "What do you do?" And then we just started talking about it. I said, "This is what I do." And he's like, "Well, you do it so well. Let's own that and let's put it into Gary's legs." Because if you watch any of the high school matches, even my college matches, I tilt one way, pulling them, throw the leg in, arch you the other way. And if you didn't do it, I just boom, back and forth. So the pressure was always there. It was never a, hang on and wait for you to jump up. You always were going, "Oh my God, watch out. Oh my God, watch out." So the light switch went on that summer where
Interesting.
I wanted to own it. And I even called it something. Michael Aaron still talks to you. He goes, "Hey, can you come talk to my guys about the tilt-a-whirl? Do you remember that ride, at Carnival, the tilt-a-whirl?"
Yeah.
I was like, I have a super, I can do the whole, but I always taught kids. I could teach it.
You were really, really good at it.
Yeah.
And it literally won you a state title.
No doubt.
So, okay, you're a couple weeks removed from being a state champion. You're feeling great about yourself. How was the recruiting? College recruiting.
So right after the season, we wrestled the All-Star meet against District 11. And so I had Dan McIntyre, who was the state runner-up in PA. So, AAA, obviously really good wrestler. And I'm state champ. And so coaches came to that. Fast talking Eddie Griffin from Clemson. Very well-known, guy. Great Oklahoma guy, legendary. And so I remember, I ended up beating Dan McIntyre in that match. And I remember afterwards, he shook my hand. He goes, "Boy, you're going to be a Tiger." And he slapped these plane tickets in my hand.
Really?
And Mike Waltz ended up going there, my teammate Mike. And I didn't go there. I'd never really been on a plane. Probably went to Florida in 1973 for, Disney when I was 5 years old or whatever it was. And that was it. And I was just like, I don't know if I can even go to the visit. That was a lot, So it came at me quick and I was not expecting it. So I remember talking to Bloomsburg and Temple and even Westchester, which was, not Division I. No, they weren't. And Ryder. And, I told, Clemson, I'm not coming down for the visit. And college in New Jersey was right in there, Trenton State with Dave Eisenhower, who was an awesome guy. And one of our kind of heroes, Ralph Finuto, was there. So, I talked to all these schools and I ended up feeling really comfortable with the day I visited Ryder College. And it was Ryder College then. And it was just really summer day. And I was like, wow, that's great. And then I talked to Jerry Valecco at Temple. And I'm like, it's right over the bridge, man. And it's a really good school.
Yeah.
So I committed to Temple.
Really? You did commit to Temple?
And then I was about to start school. Summertime, they they dropped wrestling.
Wow.
So they had just had a national champ the year before. They had the heavyweight national NCAA Division I champion the year before, and they dropped wrestling.
So they dropped it that year.
They dropped it. So as I'm going to I'm thinking, okay, here I go. I'm going to Temple. And
were you a full scholarship kid to Temple?
No. Partial scholarship.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
And then, colleges weren't as much money back then too. So Gary Taylor came and said, "Listen, I got a scholarship for you, and not a full scholarship, but I got a scholarship for you to come to Ryder." And my teammate Jim Gilch was going to go there. So I'm like, I'm going to Ryder. It was a perfect day to see it. And, they had just had an All-American, John Lucerne, the year before. He was fourth at 126. I'm like, I'm going to get to wrestle with this guy.
Yeah.
Right? So I signed with Ryder, and it was easy, done, dusted. I don't have to worry about it again until September because it's a 35-minute drive, up to 95.
Yeah. That's okay. Wow.
And I knew nothing about college wrestling. I didn't know Iowa State. I didn't know Iowa. I knew who Dan Gable was, but
I think everyone, that knew a little bit about wrestling knew that. Now, leading up to all of this, how influential or did your parents tend to put any additional pressure on you once they saw the potential in you now that you're state champ? Like,
nope.
You got to go here, you got to do this. They kind of they stayed back.
Yep, totally.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean,
who did you lean to for guidance when it came to wrestling related decisions?
I would say my personal Mount Rushmore is my mom and dad.
Okay, right.
Makes sense, right? Gary Papa.
I'm sure.
All right. And probably Gary Taylor, and then a mix of some professional, I know there's not really 5 heads on it, but I would need 5 heads, but 3 heads would be shrunk into one with Glenn Kapuscinski, Jack Lepping, and Mike Hennessy in professional world.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Gary Papa.
Gary Papa.
He just made you, I loved wrestling. Obviously, when you do well, you can love it even more. But we just had a great team, and he had such a culture that was driven by people pulling other people up, and it was driven by, hey, how hard can you work? And
did you have any sense of, were you a little bit high on your haunches after a state title, or did you even understand how hard Division I wrestling was going to be?
I was a 109-pound state champ. I was like, the first weight class was 118 back then.
Correct.
I was like, I'm not even that big. And I was 130 by the middle of the summer, but I had no inclination that I was good.
Did the training methods between junior and senior year continue between senior year of high school and freshman year of college?
I think I focused on lifting.
Okay.
With Gary, so he had to see me come to his wife had to see me come to their house, 3 times a week, and he had this great workout, where you would get 10 reps at 3 sets, then you'd move up. So and we did them on these the major exercises, and I got pretty strong doing that with Gary. And that was really what I was focused on. I would just go to open rooms and, nothing crazy. I'm going to wrestle in college. Temple was disappointment, but Ryder opened the door. So, I'm just trying to get big.
So you get to Ryder as a freshman. Did you redshirt?
No, I wrestled, and I got beat out at the end of the year when this guy, Mike Price, was a national qualifier, dropped to 118.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was 11-5, and I was undefeated in the conference. So you win the ECC, the East Coast Conference, you would go to NCAAs.
So now how humbling was that for you?
I was pissed. I remember I lost the wrestle-off over at the Trenton State College in New Jersey, and it was a 5-mile walk, but I walked home, and I was like, I hate this. Back to that old, adage of, I didn't do good, so now, I'm not going to.
So now your vision quest starts all over again.
Yeah.
Because now here you are, you got beat off in a wrestle off your freshman year in college.
Yeah.
And then your sophomore year.
Sophomore year, I had 31 wins. I got in the finals of a bunch of competitions. I remember wrestling Jack Cuvo, two-time NCAA champ. Yeah. And the first time I wrestled him in the Wilkes finals, and I lost 11-7. And I had taken him down and turned him. I remember him going, what the hell? Just turn me. And then we wrestled in the finals of the Maryland Open, and I beat this guy, Wayne Gibson, in the semis. It was really good from Old Dominion. And and then finals again. I mean, it was another close one. I don't think it might have been closer than that. It might have been 11-9, but I'd wrote him out and turned him again in that one. And, he's obviously really good. He got me in the dual meet 25-11 or something crazy. Then we wrestled in the NCAAs that year because I won my conference. And first round, I won my first round match, and then I wrestled Cuvo in the second round, and it was 25-14 or something. I don't know, 25-12, something like that. Because he scored a lot of points. He was crazy, and he was just really trying to just beat me down to no pulp. And I remember winning one wrestle. No, I lost the first wrestle back because I won one and lost 2 in that first year. That was a big disappointment because I'd been ranked in the top 12, top 15 at different times during the year. And you're at Ryder, so I'm not wrestling Big Ten guys,
Correct.
And you're waiting to see Amateur Wrestling News. There's no flow.
The Trenton Times or
Trenton Times, whatever it was. You had to hear scores afterwards.
Yes.
And so that summer, I worked out, but it was just normal. I was trying to lift. I was trying to go to anywhere I could go just to wrestle, but it wasn't necessarily getting me better because then junior year didn't really see any difference. I did okay. It was 28, 27 wins. Gotten some good competition or tough tournament finals. Won my conference, which was probably one of the lighter conferences. Got to the NCAAs, and I beat Dan Vidlak first round. Now, Dan Vidlak won the Pac-10s, or Pac-8, Pac-10s. He beat Zeke Jones in the finals.
Okay.
And Zeke was, obviously a couple-time All-American by then. So I crushed him. 11-4, first round NCAAs. I'm like thinking, I'm be All-American, and I lost the next round to Doug Weiland by fall, headlocked me in a vicious headlock. Now he's an orthopedic surgeon. And I lost my first wrestle back again. So that was when I was like, I got 1 year left. What the heck is going on?
Vision Quest starts.
No,
Starts.
no red shirt yet. But Jack Kuva won his second title. So I called him up. He lived in Easton. What's that, 2-hour drive? I called him up and I said, hey, you work out with me this summer? He's like, absolutely. You can come up every day.
Really?
Yeah. So my dad he said, you don't have to work this summer. He goes, I'm going to give you $5 of gas every day. Now totally.
That got you enough up. That
yeah,
got you to Easton?
A gallon of gas was 98 cents. Wow. Yeah. So I'd go up to Easton like 5 days a week and work out with Kuvo. And then it got to a point where I started doing really good against him. And we'd fight in a room, a little bit smaller than this. And my girlfriend would come up with me sometimes, just sit there just for the, be company for the ride. And, or she'd, just hang out somewhere else, but she could be there sometimes and we're fighting. Like, what the heck, And, but he was a madman, right? He was so good, such in great shape. He would run. Sometimes he'd show up when I'd get there and he's just totally sweating. And then we'd go at it for a while. And then one point he said, hey, you want to meet me down at Foxcatcher?
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, yeah, where's that? He goes, oh, it's really probably close to your house. So I met him there. This is towards the end of my my junior year summer after he was NCAA champ. And, I was like, wow, I got to meet Rob Calabrese, who Joe Mercury talked about. And, just Valentin Jordanov, 7-time world champ, Olympic champ. They got him in there. Dave Schultz is in the room. All these, I'm like, oh, what the heck? Where have I landed? And so, I'm a 52 kilo guy then. I mean, I could make 52 kilos. It was really,
kilos.
Yeah, it was 114 and a half. Super hard. I mean, if it was a 120 weight, I could make that comfortably, but 114 was like cutting on my leg. And I started going there, and sometimes Jack would show up, but I had plenty of people to work out with. And I remember Gary Taylor, who was my coach at Rider College. He's like, you should redshirt this year. They're letting you compete. Come here every day. You should go there. So they put my picture up on the wall. I was the 152 kilo guy. We went to the Sunkist Open, in November, and I beat Burke Tyree. He was really good, like junior guy, wrestled, one of those longtime wrestlers. Then the finals, I beat Tim Vanny, who moved up. Tim was 2-time Olympian, like placed in the world a million times, like great wrestler. And I beat him in the semi. No, I beat him in the semis. Beat Burke in the quarters. In the finals, Tony Perler, tooled me up.
Who was it? Who?
Tony Perler, NCAA champ.
Oh, Tony Perler. Yeah.
And but that got me on a tour. So I got to go to Russia. I got to go to training camps for Russia. I got to be around all these great people and just got good. Won the University Nationals at the end of the year. Ended up being 4th on the World Team Trials ladder, and had some great wins at different competitions, U.S. Open, International. I got to go to Minsk in Russia.
So did you tinker in freestyle before?
Never. That
Really?
was my first year. So there was a couple times where it's like, he got spun around like a top, because just I was doing things
You
like
catch
that.
on quick. It seems like you catch on quick.
Yeah, and so now the guys I've beaten there, I go into my senior year, never been an All-American. I'm ranked number 2 in the country going in the year. I'm like, what the heck, man? It's crazy. And
Is that good or is that pressure that you didn't want?
I don't know. I just loved it, because you'd see it come out every year. Yeah. Absolutely loved it. I thought, man, I'm arrived. Dan Gable knows who I am.
Yeah.
And in that summer, I got to meet Jim and Joe Gibbons, who were the coaches at Iowa State. And Joe and I became good friends. And he had actually said, hey, would you transfer to Iowa State? Any chance we can get you to transfer in? And they had Eric Aiken, coming off redshirt too. And I thought about it, man, but I just knew I could never do that to Gary Taylor. And so while it was a thought and a compliment at the time, I just knew I couldn't do it. So we go into the first big beginning part of the year, and I beat everybody early on. Won the Matttown and Lock Haven, which are a really hard competition. Stroudsburg, won our duels against Syracuse and some good teams. Drew Black from Malwa was their lightweight, and I beat Drew, who was a state champ too, right around our time. And so then in the Wilkes Finals, I wrestled Lou Roselli, who was our Olympian in, 96, and bunch-time All-American at Edinburgh. He was the coach at Oklahoma eventually.
Yes.
Really good wrestler. And I ended up losing to him 5-4. And then I'd already been selected for the East-West All-Star match because I was ranked high early on. So I'm going to wrestle Dan Vidlak, who's ranked #1 at this time, and it's in Philly at the Palestra.
Wow.
So that I showed you a picture with Wayne Chalice, raising my hand, and so that was that match. So I got to be in Philly. I had before the match, I remember somebody from high school.
1992,
1991. It was January of 1991.
91. Okay.
It was the night after the Giants won the Super Bowl.
Buffalo Bills.
Yeah,
Missed
the Bills.
Goal,
Yeah.
shanked the field goal.
Yeah,
That
right.
one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, wide right.
Okay.
Yeah, wide right. Because we were watching that the night before. And anyway, so that was a Monday night, and I had a kid from high school come up to me beforehand. I saw all these familiar faces I didn't know. So I remember Gary Papa going, "You're distracted, man. Like, you better get in the zone." Anyway, we got it was a great match, scramble match, and I was a scrambler, and so I ended up winning that. So I helped my ranking back up, and we got all the way to the end of the year. I don't think I ever lost again. I wrestled Keith Taylor from James Madison, who was a really good South Jersey wrestler, and I took a lot of joy in beating him 11-1, 10-1, whatever it was, because he used to talk trash on me. He's a great guy and all. And I know Aaron, Aaron Taylor, who was great, wrestled at Cornell.
Catholic.
Yeah, Cam Catholic, and yeah. And so I remember that was a satisfying win. I don't know if they know that it was a satisfying win, but it was really satisfying for me. And got the NCAAs. I'm the 4th seed. And that puts me on the side with Jeff Prescott, who was, really outstanding, returning All-American. And 2nd seed was Donnie Heckel, and 3rd seed was Chad Zapital from Iowa.
Chad Zapital.
And I won my first 2 rounds, a lot of scoring, beat people up. And then I wrestled Lou Roselli again. And I lost in the quarterfinals. And if you ever see the match, I never opened up. So now, in the wrestlebacks, here comes Adam, right? Because I'm in the wrestlebacks, and sometimes that happens, right? A little bit of the pressure's off because people don't pay, they're watching the semifinals. Here I come. I beat Eric Burnett from Clarion to be an All-American, who was an All-American from Clarion. Great coach out in Ohio. Gray Burnett, his son.
Very good.
Great wrestle now. And I think Eric was a 2-time All-American. But I beat him, and then I beat Eric Aiken, who was eventual 4-time All-American at Iowa State. And then I beat Sammy Henson, who was, eventual 2-time champ. And he was at Missouri at the time. And I beat him, Big 8 champ. And I beat him in the consolation semis. In the consolation finals, I beat Lou Roselli.
Gotcha.
So the guy that gave me my 2 losses, 37-2 that year, I beat him in my last high school match. And then I had a hug with
college. Yeah.
last match in college. And so I remember having the hug with Gary Taylor at the end of that, and it was an extra, because he wasn't he was the superpower I needed was confidence, and he was always pushing that on me, that you do this, he was always telling me what I was, and I didn't always know what I was, because again, you're pulling up in one rental car and everybody pops out like a clown car for Rider College, and then I was coming in a bus. So it was, you always felt that, or I always felt that a little bit from Oklahoma State, and Iowa.
I'm going to ask you a very, very weird, not a weird question, curious question. You're 58 years old. Yeah. If you're on the couch flipping channels and you're bored, do you find yourself drifting to that NCAA tournament your senior year in college or the state tournament your senior year in high school? What means more to you?
None of them mean anything because I got 4 great kids. I got a great career.
But if I asked you to pick which one of them means more, because that time you accomplished it, college means more.
College. Because 2 weeks after the NCAAs, Jim Gibbons called me, the head coach at Iowa State, who's now that Big Ten announcer. You probably guys have probably seen him. He called. He said, "Hey, I want you to come out and do wrestling camps here at Iowa State, and I'm going to pay $1,000 for the week." I'm like, "What? Crazy! I'm flying out to Iowa State to do." So I told my girlfriend, I was like, "I'm going out there to pay me $1,000," and they flew me out there, and school was just over, or whatever it was for me, the end of May, and so I'm there, and I kept seeing them. There's 1,000 kids, big Iowa State pavilion, and I kept seeing them watch my sessions, and I'm doing top and legs and all that, and on the last day, he said, "Hey, meet me over at the football stadium." It's like, all right, cool, and I show up to the football stadium in Iowa State, sweatpants, Iowa State shirt, hat. I'm like decked out for Iowa State. And he said, sit down. And I see another guy there. He's like, hey, this is Max Urig. He's the athletic director here, at Iowa State. And we'd like to offer you an assistant coach position at Iowa State. What? And I looked down and I went, yep. He goes, you have any questions? I go, no. He's like, all right, we're going to see you August 27th. And
I never knew that.
So yeah, so I go home and I tell my girlfriend, hey, I got $1,000 and I'm going to Iowa State to be a coach. She's like, what? I go, you coming with me? And she's like, no, I can't go back, can't go with you. And so I was there for 2 years, with Jim and Joe. And the second year was Bobby Douglas, because Jim had life change incident and he was just like, I think one of his friends had passed away and he just wanted to change careers. He became a successful businessman, and Joe was almost getting the job, and the vice president of external affairs came in and, nominated Bobby. So Joe and I still go to NCAA's with him every year. He said, you know what, if that change didn't happen, we'd probably still be sitting down there coaching Iowa State. I agree, my wife always nods it off, but, I think it probably would have been because it was Iowa State. And, I kind of got homesick at the end of the second year with Bobby, and it was a different world, different environment, a lot of great kids. We've got to recruit Chris Bono, who was an NCAA champ, now, coach Wisconsin, and Barry Weldon, who was an NCAA champ eventually. Steve Hamilton was on the team. There's a lot of great people on that team. And, sometimes when you finish college and you get in a room, you get better. I crushed everybody. I just beat them up. And it was unbelievable. And then one of the high credibility moments for me was when I went to Sunkist in my first year at Iowa State, and I had to wrestle Mark Schwab in the finals of Sunkist, who had been a U.S. Open champ in college, Tbilisi finalist. Now he had a knee surgery, injury, and all that stuff, but he ended up being an All-American again. But he's a legend in Iowa, 4-time state champ, and I beat him. So I go back to the Iowa State room beating Mark Schwab, and people looked at me different. So it was great. And then at the end, I was really, I became friends with Rob Cole, doing different freestyle things. And he got the head coach at Cornell and recruited me to come home, come back east at least. And my wife and I got engaged when we lived at Cornell, and I coached an NCAA champ, that year. So the 126 pounder, won the NCAA.
Was that Nickerson?
No, Dave. Oh my God, can't believe I can't remember his name. So 126. We'll have to find that out. But he won the NCAA, so I went there and got to work out with him, that whole year. But I did decide that, I didn't want to be a wrestling coach forever, based on Cornell was not Cornell of today. They were very good, but it was just different. And when you go to Iowa State, you're flying a jet down to wrestle Oklahoma State. To Cornell, it was different.
It's just amazing because your story and journey is relative to each era. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're wrestling now, or if you're wrestling in the 80s or 70s or whatever.
Yeah.
The point is that relative to the era, you didn't have a lot of resources. You took it upon yourself to get better, to be self-motivated, to just go get it.
And I loved it.
And you went and got it. Now, Adam Derengowski in the year 2026, with the resources these kids have, are you even better, or are you just destined to do what you did?
I think I just look at my experience at Iowa State, where I went in the room with 7 great lightweights, all competing against each other, and how good I got so quickly.
Yeah.
I thought, oh my gosh, wow, if I'd went here, and it was always a talk with Jim, you should have came here. You could have wore the robe. And so, I think, obviously being around good partners really helps, and resources would have made things differently. I'm sure I would have been good.
Yeah.
But, because I love the sport, and it would have been a different experience. But what I did cement in that whole life, experience with wrestling were the 3 life pillars that I coach my family on. My wife and I agreed, and also a sales team that I lead, a high-performing sales team in healthcare. But it's hard work, dedication, and persistence. And if you do those 3 things, and don't worry about that end result. If you do those 3 things, put them in order, put them in priority, you work hard because it's table stakes and not everybody's going to do it. Yeah. If you're persistent, meaning you're just going to keep at it even when you don't want to do it. And if the persistence comes, with, also facing a loss, and the dedication is just doing it when you don't want to do it. And I think that's been an important message, to share, that's universal from here and now. And also you got to have hope. I think best is yet to come is a great mantra, that we've professed in my family. And I've also talked to people that, work with me in healthcare sales.
Did you ever venture into high school coaching?
Club coaching.
Okay, but you were never on a high school staff.
No, never.
Was there ever a reason why you never?
I got married and had kids right away, and I have 4 kids, and it just became
too much.
really important to make.
Gotcha. Are you still a follower of the sport?
Absolutely.
New Jersey wrestling.
I go to NCAA. Well, I go to NCAA's every year.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily go to states every year, but follow the local programs all the time, and you're trying to see who from South Jersey Region 7 and 8, are placing.
But the traditional 7 and 8 is over forever. It's
all these teams I don't know.
Yeah, it's evolving just like the sport itself.
Yeah.
What do you see in the sport based on what you're following? And I'm basically asking you about high school.
Yeah.
What do you think of the evolution of the sport in general?
Yeah, I remember seeing. I was a scrambler. So I accidentally would do a leg pass. So when I locked in the crotch when somebody shot and I fell over, I'd pull the leg and I'd end up coming up between. So that, I remember that was important to me because guys getting in your leg all the time, you have to do that. So I think the evolution is it's just needed to give another outlet to the defense and the change. And I think it's awesome. I mean, it's so athletic. Yeah. You've got to be in such great shape. You got to be so flexible. I can't imagine my knees are really healthy. I'm a runner, but if I'd done all that, it might have been a little bit crazy. But I love the sport where it evolved to.
Does Adam Derengowski's principles of wrestling, could they still apply to today's wrestlers?
Yeah, because it's gonna take you from participating in the sport, competing in the sport, into a professional world where everybody's not thinking that way. It's a very blue collar. I don't know if it's old school, but hard work, dedication, and persistence are foundational to everything that this country's about. Yeah. So it's not going to go away. There may be some distractions here and there, but if people live by those and find you can actually adapt it. What's important for you. But I think those are universal, and I think they're timeless.
Yeah. Are your parents still alive?
Both my parents are alive.
Both your parents are alive.
Yeah.
How often does wrestling come up in a conversation between either your mom or your dad?
Well, mom and dad still have dinner with Gary Papa.
Do they really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Somebody will always say that to him in Barrington. My dad loves it.
That's awesome.
I'm sure my mom, likes it as well.
Are they little, or is your dad a little guy?
My mom is a little Irish girl. Okay. My dad's a little taller than me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That's cool that, good for them. That's cool that they're still around.
Really healthy. My dad and my mom were fitness, crazy.
Okay.
They used to ride their bikes all over the place.
That's awesome.
Not so much now. My dad has trouble walking, but still, they've always been a great shining light.
That's cool. And you said you have 3 sons?
I have 3 sons and 1 daughter.
And none of your sons wrestled?
None of my kids wrestled now.
Hey, that's ironic.
Yeah.
That's ironic.
They all competed. They all followed the principles, and they all found their way. They're all really strong professionals. They're always great kids. But it really helped open up areas where maybe I wouldn't have been shining a light.
Why do you think, and I don't know if you've had these conversations with your kids, but isn't it, you would think that it's kind of instinctive to follow in your father's footsteps to a certain degree. Did they ever give you a reason why they didn't want to follow in your athletic footsteps? I'm curious.
I've heard a few. I don't know. It's just, there was no good ones though.
No good ones?
Yeah.
I got
they
you.
wanted to do their thing, and they all did their thing, and they did it very strongly.
Yeah. I know a lot of elite wrestlers in their time whose kids never wrestled.
Well, it's just that I did, like John Hanchey, who's a great friend of mine, who's like cup teammate and everything else. His kids, like JP, felt like he's gonna wrestle no matter what, right? And I just never had that. They never felt like they had to, and I never made them. And it was probably easier on our Saturdays when they didn't. When they were kids, but they did other things, and they did them really well.
So I'm going to ask you this.
Yep.
I ask every legend this.
Yeah.
You can't pick yourself.
Yep.
In your opinion, who is the greatest New Jersey high school wrestler of all time?
Easy answer for me. It might be time bias, but it's Joe Melchiori.
That's a very good, legit answer. Yeah. I'm curious. You answered that quick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I used to keep a picture of him on my mirror in my room because he stood lefty in the picture, and he had his leg out to the side. It was almost like his sidewinder theory. And I just remember I used to stand in front and work on my stance, and I'm lefty. So
that's cool.
That also helped, by the way, in wrestling. I was lefty.
That does help.
So yeah, it was a very different experience for people wrestling me. But yeah, Joe Melchiori.
Joe Melchiori, interesting.
Yeah.
It's a great answer. I'm curious to see as we do more and more of these, legend series with the overwhelming people are are going to say. I'm curious.
Well, I heard Damian Hahn twice already, right?
Damian Hahn's a very popular choice for a lot of people.
He's great.
Legends or not, a lot of people would
Yep.
or seem to be picking Damian Hahn. Do you know Damian? I'm curious.
I don't know.
You don't?
No.
In your circuits, you never heard about him? So one more final question. If there's one thing about this sport right now that you could change, if you had the power to change it, what would you change?
Well, I mean, it's universal to all sports. It's the transferring in college level.
Okay.
But in high school, you know, I wish they would revert back to districts being local teams competing against each other. You know, I wouldn't change the rules because I just think wrestling's, they're making rule changes for reasons to help the sport, and I'm not in the trenches there, so I don't look at it that way. But I just loved the nostalgia that like going back to District 28 would bring, and I'd see Todd Young from Haddon Township and Brian Klaus and people that you know I could be 58 years old and go in there and go, dude, great to see you, man.
I know.
You
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I agree
so
with you.
if that was it, I would love them to revert back to like local districts being local teams.
I would agree. You would have my vote on that. Adam, listen, man, thanks for sitting down with us.
My
I
pleasure.
really do appreciate
Thank you,
you.
guys.
Adam Derengowski.
Attention, wrestling fans, parents, and future state champs. This is your podcast. We're shining a light on the toughest high school New Jersey wrestlers and coaches who are building warriors one takedown at a time. Follow us, like, and subscribe on your favorite platform. It doesn't cost you anything. It goes a long way to support the show. Don't just watch the journey.